Okay, so it is day 0 in Expedition, and it was so nice to get to know everyone. I feel like this is going to be a really good season for everyone, and I feel like there's going to be a lot of twists in the game, and I feel like there's going to be a lot of like physical and mental challenges. And yeah, I think like this cast is gonna be very, very interesting. And I know for myself, I'm gonna be very.
So, what started as just kind of a mild and awkward first day ended up getting a little bit crazy. We were just hanging out in the shelter. Everybody was talking sort of that awkward first day of school type vibe. And my thought at that point was, I'm not going to be the first one to leave here. That just isolates you completely. Seems like everybody was on that same wavelength, though. So eventually, one of the mods comes in and basically says, You have 10 seconds to get out of here, at which point chaos basically breaks out. I quickly look over to the other rooms, and I see one room that has a capacity of like 6 or 7, and the rest that were a bunch of twos, and realize a couple things quickly. First, if you can get in that 6-person room, that's probably a pretty good place to make an alliance. But second, I don't think there's enough space in the rooms in general for everyone in this game. So my first priority is I'm going to try to get into that 6-person room, but if not, I just got to make sure I get in somewhere. First thing that happens is like 8 people go into that 6-person room. I know I got no shot there. I don't want to be that person who's like trying to fight for my place. So I hop into one of the twos, get my spot there. I'm feeling pretty good. And a little while after, Rob comes in. I remember just from kind of those awkward introductions we were doing that he lives in DC. I live in DC. I figured that can be a good way to start chatting. So I think he can be a really good ally. The other thing I was doing, though, was I was looking to see, all right, who's in that 6-person room, because that's either going to be a strong alliance that I need to try to hook up with and get on the right side of the numbers, or I need to be very wary of who those people are so I can try to bring in everybody else in case they're all on my tribe. So I think that between talking to Rob there and then talking to both Jack and Dakota in rooms later on, I might have a couple decent allies, but I'm definitely paying attention to who's been talking to one another and what kind of alliances I need to look out for.
Hi. Reactions to the first day. I think it went pretty smoothly. It was a little awkward at first with nobody talking. Don't have too many thoughts on anyone right now, but I'm excited for the challenges and I'm excited to see what team I'm on.
Okay, so your boy's back for the 2-0. So we'll see how this goes. What an awkward start to a season. That was probably one of the most awkward hours of my life right there. And I deal with 12-year-olds going through puberty, so this definitely takes the cake for awkward conversations. But once we started breaking out and talking to other people, I really got to see different sides of other people and kind of what they're like. And there's a lot of people I think I could work with, and hopefully they want to work with me. That's the goal, obviously. But overall, in terms of how I want to play this game, I'm kind of thinking that I want to play it way different than when I played the first time. So the first time I played it very straight up loyal. I took the numbers to the end, took the 2 people I needed to the end, and that's it, and got the win. I just don't think that's going to work on a long form because it's already painful enough when you do it in 2 days, but to do that over 3 weeks, I think is really, it's not fun for one, and 2, it's I just don't think it's a good winning game. I think it's really hard for people to respect you and get the votes. I mean, it's a very thin line. It was already hard enough the first time doing it, so I can't imagine doing it the second time. But I do want to play a different type of game in that I really want to play a very evil and manipulative game, and we'll see how it goes. The hope is that if anyone's seen me play before, which it looks like Jack's there, which I've played with Jack, so he probably saw me play, and maybe Kyle has seen it. I think he might have, and some of these other people, it seems like Will might have seen it as well. So if anyone has seen me play, that they see a side of me that's very just straightforward, not that hyper strategic, just did the right thing and got to the end, got the dub. But the hope is I can use that to kind of manipulate people and maybe get pull a few over some of these people. And obviously that's some arrogance talking there. So we'll see how this goes. Best case scenario, I win again. Worst case scenario, I fall flat on my face. And both sound like a fun way to go out. So I'm down for either one, and we'll see how this goes. But yeah, I don't know. I think this will be a very fun time. I'm very curious how this will go long form. And fingers crossed we don't have another hour long awkward small talk that I have to dance in the shelter alone to. But who knows? I'm excited for the season, and I hope I do as well as I did the last time I played.
I'm sweating just from being like nervous about tonight. Like I'm really hot just trying to get to know new people. The beginning was kind of all right. It was a lot of people and it was a lot of chaos and we weren't really sure what was going on. But then we split up into different rooms. So I went into the room under the water and there were 6 of us allowed in that room. So 5 of us pretty quickly latched onto each other, and after getting to know each other for like an hour, we decided to make a little alliance. So I really like Chantel. Gideon, he is gonna be very fun to watch, I think. He's a character. Garrett was nice too, but he dipped, so we're not sure if he's gonna stay in our alliance or not. Justin, he was the core. Maddie was part of the core alliance, and then Jennifer came in later. She seems super fun. She said she's a kindergarten teacher, so I'm sure she has lots of way to strategize to get people's attention. So interested to see where this goes, and hopefully we end up on the same team. Otherwise, this will not work. Or if we make it to the merge, then that can play in our favor. So looking forward to Wednesday.
So I'm gonna do this like an English teacher getting real with his students, sit like very forward. So first thoughts, it was pretty interesting, really casual. We got broken up after being given the roles into the shelter with everyone. I took notes. I mean, someone thankfully suggested we all do introductions with like brief background, and that gave me the opportunity to get a couple things down on each person so that I look like a good listener, a good social person, maybe someone that someone wants to work with, which is a good illusion to keep up in the game. If I know, for example, that Dakota has 2 dogs, one named Lola, one named Liney, and 3 cats, right off the bat, if we start talking about that, her dogs Lola and Liney, I think that makes her more inclined to work with me. So that's really nice. Unfortunately, Doc, he wants the game to get started as the host, and he kicked us out of the shelter, and I did not get in the big room, which was frustrating for me because that immediately puts me as a target because I was stuck in a room with Ryan. There's just the 2 of us, and that group of 6 was obviously able to see that it was just the 2 of us. The other groups that were in groups of 2 were Kyle and Jennifer, and then there was another one I wrote down. I don't remember off the top of my head. So I spoke to Ryan. He seems great. He seems like someone I'd like to work with. And then I left in order to kind of remove the target from myself. Kyle jumped in the room with Ryan. I jumped in the room with Jennifer, and Jennifer was pretty forward about the fact that that was 4 people right there. And in a game with 14 people, you think about it, all 4 of us are on the tribe. That immediately puts us in the numbers on a 7-person tribe. We'll have the number advantage 4-3, which is not a very nice number advantage. I'd prefer to go in with a 5-2 and then a smaller alliance within that. People that I thought were interesting, I thought Will G made a pretty big mistake when he exposed how big of a fan of Survivor he was. He was talking about every season in great detail, and I mean, I'm as much of a fan as, if not bigger, than him, but I'm not going to reveal that information because that instantaneously reveals that you're aware of the strategy that goes into Survivor and the manipulation. So I think that was not a smart move on his part. I know Gideon, he's pretty famous on TikTok. I'm not that big into TikTok. I don't have TikTok, but I see him on Instagram every once in a while. He's a theater guy. He's going to be a good actor, good liar, but he's very out there. He's very self-confident, which is a great quality, but could rub people the wrong way. Maybe that's the person to target. I don't want to, specifically because he's another person like Ryan, Gideon, and Hannah that are around my age, and those are the people that I want to work with. Maybe not long term, because they're going to be more inclined to make big moves, like we saw Alex and Qua doing on season 1. And then Garrett, interestingly enough, you just saw my Band-Aid. Nice. That makes me less of a physical threat, because gotta look the part. If I have a Band-Aid, I mean, who's gonna think I'm a challenge beast with this crippling injury? Interestingly enough, Garrett and I participated on the 2-day version of Expedition Online that was set up by Josh, and Garrett won, and that's how he got cast. And so I'm not really going to use that information to blackmail him or something, but I do want to have a one-on-one conversation with him so we can get on the same page on how we're going to be playing that. Because I don't want him to be like, oh yeah, Jack's played before, and then I'll have to be like, yeah, Garrett played before, but he won, so he's way more threatening than me. But those are my first day thoughts. I'm excited to start on Wednesday. I'm excited that the cast has a lot more young people. It looks like a really fun cast. Everyone was super nice. It's going to be a shame that I'm going to have to vote off so many of them. Knock on wood. But hopefully this is a good confessional. The lighting is incredible because I am looking right out a window in our guest room. So, peace.
Okay, so day, I guess 0 down, and it was awkward. I feel like we were all in school, and like no one wanted to talk, no one wanted to be called on. It was really awkward for a little while. Everyone was just sitting there silent. Eventually, I forgot his name. I'm terrible with names. Someone started to talk to try and break the silence, and he started talking about how big of a fan he was of Survivor, which kind of makes sense because you would think everyone would be super fans playing this game. Fast forward to later when I'm in a group of 6 and they all just start shitting on him, and it was bad. They were like talking about how he was annoying and how the super fan, of course, is the one to talk, and then I was just like, oh crap, because I kind of engaged with him a little bit, so I had to backtrack. I was like, oh yeah, I just tried to chime in because I saw a GIF. I don't really know about Nicaragua. So that was awkward. But actually, I kind of liked the guy. I wouldn't mind being on his tribe. I feel like he would be easy to throw under the bus if I had to as a first boot. But also, I kind of want to work with him. Other than that, the only people that really stood out to me were, Kyle, I think that was his name. He was the one who left the group chat when everyone was in it together, and he went to a room where I saw a moderator, and personally, I thought, like, okay, he probably thought the same thing as me, which was if a moderator's sitting in a different room, there's probably some clue or something like that in there, and I wanted to go, but you can't be the only one to leave when everyone in the game is sitting in one room, so I was like, okay, shit. So when I was in the group, I wanted to kind of make everyone else aware of the fact that he did leave, but I didn't want to also be the guy that's like, hey, Kyle left. We should all start worrying if he has an idol or not, because I don't want, if I end up with him, I don't want to be the one that everyone's like, oh, Justin was throwing you under the bus. So I kind of tried to do it in a way to make someone else say it. So I was like, oh yeah, someone kept leaving. Were they getting disconnected? I don't really know Discord that much, and I think Gideon was the one who was basically like, yeah, that was weird. He bailed out. So I was hoping he would bring up like, oh, there was probably an idol or a clue there, but he didn't yet. But everyone still at least was aware that Kyle left. I wanted to make sure everyone was aware of it. I don't really trust him already. I feel like he's going to be really gung-ho with playing the game hard, but that might be able to shield me, so I wouldn't mind being on his tribe either. So yeah, I ended up, when everyone had to break up, I instantly wanted to go to the group of 6 because I didn't want to be stuck in a room of 2 and then kind of just be sitting there with one person who then, obviously anyone you're sitting with is going to say like, oh yeah, we should be in an alliance, because that's just what everyone's going to say. I wish now I thought to take a note of who was in what room individually with everyone, but I forgot to do it. I was still getting used to the whole Discord thing. But so yeah, I ended up in a room with Chantel, I think, Hannah, Gideon, and Garrett, and someone else. I'm terrible with names. But the 6 of us were all in a room together, and everyone's, of course, like, oh yeah, 6, we have a majority, we should all stick together. And I'm not going to be the idiot who's like, oh no, I don't want to stick with you guys. I don't trust all of them. I know that they're all saying it just because you have to say it. Garrett ended up leaving early, and then I forgot who came in after. Bottom line is, Gideon seems like, when I first saw him, I was like, oh, this guy's going to be a douche. He actually, I think right now, is the person I want to be on a tribe with and work with from the start the most. I'm hoping to be on his tribe, and I'm hoping to, very early in the game, get him alone so that I can try and make a very early 2-person deal. I think he's going to know the game well. He seems like he's a pretty big Survivor fan, so I think he's going to be very strategy driven, which is where I'm going to go. But I also think he is going to be someone who will kind of stay loyal to a point. I don't think any of these people are going to be loyal, to be honest. I think everyone's going to be in it for themselves. Other than that, the other girls were Garrett bailed out, and everyone's like, "Oh, should we keep him in?" And then they're like, "Oh, yeah, of course we keep him in." And it's just him leaving to me said he's not interested in being in a group with me that much. So yeah, other than that, the bad thing is I didn't talk to very many other people. Gabe, actually, I was talking at one point with the group of 6, and I was like, all right, so if we want to try and figure out how we can all stay, like if there's going to be a schoolyard pick or something, how we can all stay together, and Gabe jumped in, and I have no idea how long he was in the room for, and if he heard me say anything. I think I could sweep it under the rug, like, just play it off, like, oh yeah, our 6 were the only people I talked to, so obviously we want to be able to be on the tribe together. It's not like we made an alliance, it's just that these are the only people I talked to. But hopefully he didn't jump in and was like, oh, these people already are a group, so if they get separated, we have to break up the group of 6. But yeah, he seemed cool. I only got to talk to him for about 5 minutes. But yeah, hopefully, so yeah, my number one hope for going into this game and the tribes being divided for day 1 is that I get on Gideon's tribe. I don't know right now if I even want to be on Kyle's tribe to start or not. I don't think I care either way. I don't really want to. I don't care. Chantel, I wouldn't mind being on her tribe. Yeah, that's about it. Day 1 was awkward, or day 0 was awkward. No one wanted to talk. Except for that one guy. And now he's screwed.
Alrighty, so day 1 confessional. Yeah, I'm not really sure where to go with this. It's just meeting everybody for the first time, so it's kind of hard to get a full read on people. But it's nice to know this is a good variety of people out there, so I can kind of go either way. Either go with like some of the super fans or some of the newbies, and go from there. One person I either want to work well with or get them out right away is probably going to be Will. He had mentioned that his brother played and won, so I have a pretty good idea of who that is based on his last name and previous winners from the show. But we'll see if I'm right or not. And yeah, I guess I'll also have to see which party I land on and if that person comes along with me. And yeah, I'll go from there and just see how things go. It's a bit too early to make too many predictions or anything, but I like my chances.
So night 1 of Expedition Online is complete. Initial thoughts so far, I'm very confused because I thought when we logged on, we were going to be automatically split into our 2 parties, but then when we logged on, it was just like a big group hang, which felt a little awkward because it was like, 15 of us in this room just trying to make conversation and also not initially put a target on our back. So for a while, no one wanted to join any of the other channels because no one wanted to, be the first one to do it. So I was really glad when we were kind of forced into picking a place to go. I got separated into a smaller group with 6 people, and I can already tell that Chantel, Justin, Hannah, Gideon, and Garrett, those are who I was with the majority of the time. I think that they're going to be really fun people to play this game with. We talked about if we happen to get split onto 2 different parties, like we would try to stick together. We'll see. I don't know what's going to happen. To be honest, I was totally anxious to even log on, but just getting to know the people that were playing the game, it actually calmed those nervous jitters down by a lot. So I'm really looking forward to seeing where things go and getting more into the strategy of the game. Last night it was kind of hard to even talk strategy because we don't know the way the game's going to go yet. So it'll be really interesting.
Hey, this is Rob. It's day 1 of Expedition Online, and we just got unleashed into a free-for-all meet and greet with everyone else who's playing the game or is going to be in the parties or whatever the lingo is that we are supposed to use. It was a little awkward at first because we were all in this one big video voice chat together, and you could tell people were a little awkwarded out and not really sure if they should be making the first move, really. It felt like college orientation all over again with a bunch of people who don't really know each other, who are all trying to make a good first impression and have a good rest of, when college 4 years, or here, I guess, about 3 weeks. But eventually we were all moved into we were all kind of told, hey, skedaddle, you have to split up into these groups. And I actually ended up in a one-on-one meeting with Daniel, which actually worked out pretty well because it turns out he lives in DC just like me, and just like someone else. I believe it was Hannah, or could have been Maddie. I think it was one of the two. Unfortunately, I heard a lot of names, didn't really write a lot of notes, and so I'm going off of a pretty faulty memory. That's on me. And so it was just interesting that we had, that one thing to bond over. And he actually lives in the neighborhood that I just moved out of, and he is pretty familiar with the area I'm in. So it was nice that we got to kind of have a little chit chat and share some thoughts on the game so far. And then he and I moved into another room where we saw Dakota, and then I believe Gabe, and and Jack. And it was really interesting to hear about, Dakota's line of work as a social worker, and a little bit about Daniel's line of work as a sex therapist, who, I haven't come across too many in my own day-to-day life. So it's nice to hear that extra new perspective. Otherwise, a lot of the people that I've met have been great so far. I'm always so worried coming into any of these conversations about seeming like I love to hear myself talk, because I do love to hear myself talk, but at the same time, any little thing could put a target on your back, and I don't want to put a target on my back before we even enter into our own parties. So it is nerve-wracking and stressful all around, and I'm just hoping I gave good vibes to people, and then I can, I guess, unleash my inner Colton Cumbie later on when I actually make enemies, which hopefully I don't. Hopefully, if people vote me out, they just are nice about it. That's all. But yeah, otherwise, it seems like a fun time so far, and I'm looking forward to what's in store next.
Wow. Okay. That was exciting. So many faces and stories and skills. I'm glad to see there are so many young people in this game. Jack, Gideon, Gabe. Maybe we could start a youth alliance or something. We have that in common. I was a little scared, to be honest, when Jack and I were stuck by the river alone. People see two guys talking together, they might get the wrong idea, but I hope people don't read into it too much. What else? I was so surprised at how nonchalantly Will was talking about his expertise of Survivor. I don't know if the other contestants are thinking the same thing as I am, but being so vocal so early on in this game about your knowledge of it might land you in hot water. Chantel and Keel are cool people. I see myself getting along with them, and they're definitely people I want to be around. And that's pretty much it. I'm super excited to get into the game and to meet everyone.
Uh, whew. Day one or day zero did not go great for me. I think I talked way too much, way too much. Um, People didn't seem annoyed by it, so I guess that's good. But let's slip how much I know the game. I mean, it's not something that I can't recover from, but hopefully it. I mean, it's a double-edged sword. Expose myself there, but hopefully that means once I get into tribes and whatnot, people will want to include me in votes. It's like, oh yeah, he's likable enough. Let's get him included. Uh, I mean, I'm already having to start off on the back foot now. Just my anxiety was going from being alternate to doing this like 30 minutes after the meeting time. It's just my brain was going haywire. So hopefully I can calm down uh, when we actually start and it gets serious. Yeah, we'll see. I liked everyone for that. It's not always all about me. Um, and no one I really disliked. Ooh. So we'll see how I do.